With cherry blossoms at their peak and spring now in full swing, many people feel an increase in their appetite. And since Korea has 4 distinctive seasons, I personally love how there are so many seasonal foods that you can enjoy. And Walter, what do you think about that?
Yeah, especially the spring greens, Soa. They are so healthy, but for some, they're not the easiest to eat.
Right, you're making a good point there. Now, starting today, we have prepared a KFood segment with a cooking content creator who's going to introduce all the latest, hottest K-food trends and also give us some tips on how to enjoy them, including those spring greens.
Yes, I've seen his content and he makes things look very delicious, so I can't wait.
All right, then, how about we welcome him to the studio? Let's now welcome our cooking content creator, Matthew Nowicz. Hello, Matthew. Welcome.
Hello, Matthew.
Hello. It's so nice to be after a long time here with you guys, and then it's very fun.
Right.
Always, yeah.
We're very pleased to have you on the show. I mean, you were a guest before, but
Right.
now you are going to introduce us all the latest K-food trends. And I see you're wearing a hanbok.
Right.
Probably you're going to wear this every time you're coming in the studio. So please tell us about that. And yeah, introduce yourself a bit as well.
Hello, I'm Matthew from Poland. I've been here before, and I live now for 11 years in South Korea. I love Korean food, and the reason I'm wearing hanbok today is just like I want to show more about the Korean, the K-food. Like I wanted to introduce more in details. So,
Yeah, I think you look very good in the hanbok, by the way. You've suited very well with those nice colors.
Do you like it?
Yes, I love it. Yes.
Yes,
Thank you.
and it really very fits well with our background as well, Matthew. So first off, what are some of the must-try spring greens in Korea right now? Because spring greens is our topic today, Matthew.
Right. So spring in Korea is all about fresh, and it's kind of slightly bitter, and also they have good aroma, like fresh greens. You can just get easily in marts or just street market, and some of those you must try. I think I got 4 of them.
Oh.
It's durup, which is Aurelia shoots, known as a king of the spring greens, and then the second one is nengi, which is shepherd's purse. We usually know it as in 된장찌개, right? And the third one is dalle, which is mild garlic-like flavor. We usually do the dalle muchim, right? It's seasoned and then we eat it with rice and kim. And then the last but not the least, it's minari, which we love. Like everyone loves that, right? We just fry with samgyeopsal, or we do the traditional Korean pancake.
Right.
It also has very clean and refreshing taste. So, yeah.
I can already feel the freshness around us in the studio.
I should bring that, right?
Yeah, but we do see a lot of that in your contents.
Right.
And Matthew, among those, what's your favorite spring green dish then?
These days, before I think it was minari, but these days I'm very down for durup, which is it's very simple, but it's the very earthy, natural flavor. And the thing I love about all the Korean spring greens is it doesn't need much seasoning for that. You just use gochujang, the red pepper paste, or just doenjang, right? And then you just slightly put some sesame oil, and you can feel the freshness, and it's it very works good for inflammation in your body and stuff. So
Right.
I'm getting hungry already. So you mentioned durup before, and it's known for its strong aroma and slightly bitter taste as well. But for someone trying it for the first time, people coming to Korea, what do you think is the best way to enjoy it without maybe feeling a little bit overwhelmed by that taste?
So since durup is kind of intense and kind of has a bitter taste, the way you prepare it, you should try to blanch it in very hot water for from 30 seconds to 2 minutes. You put salt in that, and then the down part, you keep it in the hot water first, and then you blanch it till it's done. And then after that, after 2 minutes, you should give the very cold bath, kind of ice bath. So I think it's good.
That is really important. I guess in Korean you would call that process 데치다, right?
데치다. Yeah, you put in the hot water and then an ice cold, and after you put all the seasoning with gochujang and doenjang.
Yeah, and I really feel like the original taste of these kinds of spring greens is what I like the most about them. And I mean, you've recently made a variety of dishes using spring greens. I checked them out on your contents and your videos. But if you had to pick one key factor that really determines the taste, what would that be?
I think we don't need so much process to prepare that. I think the point is just to do the good 데치기, like the hot water blanching,
Right.
salty hot water blanching, that keeps the tenderness, but makes the flavor softer and it's easier to enjoy. Yeah.
Right, and there are some sure ways to choose the best spring greens. Do you have any tips when you are about to make some content that you make sure you do before you cook?
So usually I get my spring greens from the street market, which is very popular in Korea. And I always look for bright and very vivid colors. I try to choose very young and tender stems. And then I'm trying to avoid the leaves that are like very large. It's better to get the small parts. And then the last, I think, is it should have like very fresh aroma, not kind of like bitter or sour
right.
kind of smell. Yeah, so I think that's the four points.
Even the smell is important. And
It should be very fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did mention the street market. That's like the traditional markets or 전통시장, which what we would like to call here in Korea. And I kind of feel like, although we have the same vegetables at the big grocery stores, I kind of feel at the traditional markets, it just seems a little more fresher. I don't know. There's
And
the
the
feel
price
to
is
it.
better too, right?
Yeah, good point. And Matthew, sometimes, however, we buy a bunch of vegetables and we don't know how to eat them all.
Right.
And is there any tip how you can make some dish with if you just have one ingredient? For instance, minari that you mentioned before.
So for minari, it's very like we get it, like we eat it because of the flavor, for the fresh aromas. So I think it doesn't need too much seasoning. It's just very easy, like some gochugaru and maybe sesame oil and maybe a little bit of soy sauce, and that's all. Because we want to enjoy the original flavor of the ingredient, right? And not to put too much cover with other like hard seasoning on that. So usually minari you can enjoy like as a muchim, which is kind of Korean fresh salad, right? You put some garlic, sesame oil, and salt or either way soy sauce. The second one could be minari jeon, which you put like the pancake flour and then you just put it on the hot oil and you can enjoy it with makgeolli as a pairing. And then the third one, I think minari 생채, which you can use just the gochugaru and a little bit of vinegar. And yeah, you can just enjoy that.
One of my favorites is the minari
Yeah.
bochon. It's so good.
And-
It's like if it's slightly seasoned, it brings the natural aroma and flavor from the like actual ingredient. So I think it's better.
Right. And also what I like to eat with minari is what Matthew mentioned before is 삼겹살,
삼겹살.
pork belly.
Number one,
That's
right?
one of the best pairings, I have to say.
Right.
And Walter wanted to continue. Sure.
Yes, so like spinach with doenjang, you've actually sort of mentioned some seasonings before.
Right.
You know, are there any special seasonings or traditional pastes, that you enjoy using or that pair well with spring greens?
So for me, like since I love to cook Korean food, I think I cannot live without doenjang, gochujang, and 간장. Doenjang is fermented soybean paste. It's kind of it's like deep, very savory taste, and it's very good for soups or like for the muchim, How would you call muchim in English? It's kind of...
As you mentioned before, it's a kind of salad, but you have the kind of dressing with the vegetable already put together without putting it afterwards on. So you mix it well, I guess, is how I would explain it.
And then the second one I mentioned before is gochujang, which is like spicy but sweet. It's very good for dishes like meat dishes, like for example, 제육볶음, the stir-fried pork. And then the third one is 간장, which you usually use for everything just to make the deep flavor for all the dishes. So.
Right. And Matthew, before we let you go, for anyone trying this at home, what would be some easy recipe that you would recommend regarding Korean spring greens?
I think because one of my favorite is 냉이. I would recommend to try something like very Koreanish, very K-food style, which is 냉이 된장국. It's actually very easy to make. If you have 된장 at home, you just put 된장 in the water, and then after you put 냉이, and it makes it it's very fresh. It has its deep taste, but it's very fresh. It feels like spring. It feels like spring is starting in Korea, so I very like it.
Right, and if anyone wants to check out how to make this in more detail, they can watch your videos, of course. Well, thank you very much, Matthew, for that. And we're looking forward to what kind of other K-foods you're going to bring to us next time. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you so much. 감사합니다.
감사합니다. And 감사합니다, Walter, as always. So we're going to have you back here on a Wednesday.
See you then.